Shit. Taluhu Udakam Tathabhutam Ayachata Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jidnena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tatabhutam Ayachata Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tatabhutam Ayachata Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur
Udakam
Tathabhutam
Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam
Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam
Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam
Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam Ayachata Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha Vishushatalur Udakam Tathabhutam Ayachata
Viprakirna Jatachanam Rodavena Jinena Cha
Rauravena jinena cha
Vishushyataludakam
Vishushyattalurudakam
Tatapa bhutam ayachata
Tathabhutam mayachata
Viprakirna jatachanam
Viprakirna jatachanam
Roravena janena cha
Rauravena jinena cha
Vishusyat talarudakam
Vishushyattalurudakam
Tatabhutam ayachata
Tathabhutam mayachata
Viprakirna jatachanam
Viprakirna jatachanam
Auravena janena cha
Rauravena jinena cha
Vishushyattalurudakam
Vishushyattalurudakam
Tatabhutam ayashchata
Tathabhutam mayachata. Any chanters online?
Viprakina Jatachanam
Viprakirna jatachanam
Roravena Janena Cha
Rauravena jinena cha
Vishushyatalurudakam
Vishushyattalurudakam
Tatabhutam Ayachata
Tathabhutam mayachata. Viprakirna, all scattered. Jata achanan, covered with compressed long hair. Rodavena, by the skin of a stag. Ajinena, by the skin. Cha, also. Vishushyat, dried up. Taluhu, palate. Udakam, water. Tathabhutam, in that state. Ayachata, asked for. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. Purport. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. That such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance was certainly providential. Otherwise, there was no chance of such a unique happening. Maharaj Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam could be revealed. Viprakirna jatachanam Rauravena jinena cha Vishushyattalur udakam Tatabhutam mayachata. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. So we see this occurrence is, Prabhupada is saying that it's kind of unique. That the sage will be in trance, and then this wonderful king and devotee will come, and he'll be feeling like he needs to get some water immediately. So he asks this sage. So this is a unique situation. We can see that this is setting the scene for the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is, Krishna always arranges some different providential occurrences which end up creating the pastime or the backdrop for the pastimes which he wishes to enact in this world. Just like there is one daughter of a Brahmana who actually was found in the well. I think this is King Pururava, right? Or is it a different king? Yayati. So Yayati, somehow he found this princess in the well. And so this Prabhupada was mentioning during the purports of that pastime that, it's providential that somehow or other this princess is in this well, and now Yayati is kind of forced to accept her hand, even though she's in the higher caste and he is in the Kshatriya class. And he also says, well, I guess it's providence that she's there. So he decided to accept the marriage, even though it was, there's a term for it, pratiloma. Is that correct? So different providential things happen. There's also the occurrence where yes, this is mentioned quite a bit, this word providence. There's one line in Prabhupada's books, I'm not sure where I found it, but it always stuck out to me, that we're simply toys in the hands of providence. Toys in the hands of providence, that the Lord is making all arrangements and we're just being positioned at different times and places. He's actually directing the wanderings. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Yantara Rudhani Maya, that we're seated on the machine made of the material energy, and he's actually directing our wanderings. Ramayan Sarva Bhutani, like that, so that this wandering. It also is mentioned that so we're all positioned, time, place, and circumstance exactly due to what we deserve. And when we perform devotional service, then we can be brought under the shelter of the divine energy. Daivim Prakritin Ashrita, that we can be protected by the divine energy, so then we start being influenced by that devotional energy of the Lord, and we're able to enact in or act in His service. So those are just some things. Maharaj, did you have anything? So I'll read this next one.
They wonder about providence. Destiny. They often think that it can't be changed. In one sense, it can't be changed by ordinary means, by material means. One's karma is such according to his past deeds, then he'll have to face that. But if one is surrendered to Krishna, then if he surrenders to Krishna, then his karma is summarized. And Krishna then makes a decision. Krishna is controlling, but he controls the ordinary persons through the material energy. Like there's the civil department and the criminal department. If one is in the civil department, then he's allowed freedoms. He can live where he wants, he can travel where he wants, he can start a business, he can do whatever he likes. But if he's in the criminal department, he's not free to do those things. He's restricted. So the devotees, when they are faced with their destiny or providence, it's even more directly Krishna is involved in their situation, because if necessary, he can adjust for them. He could adjust for an ordinary person, but generally he doesn't get involved. So it's a fact that Parikshit Maharaj could overcome his destiny by his devotional service. But the devotees generally, they're satisfied with whatever is the Lord wants to do with them, however he wants to treat them. Whether they have to be punished for their past misdeeds. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parijaja, Amikam Sharanam Braja, Am Tvang Sarvabhavebhyo Moksha Shaminashaja. He frees one from all his past activities, sinful reactions. That's what happens when one surrenders Krishna. But still, Krishna may allow him to suffer those reactions. But generally it's minimized. There was an example of one couple, they joined, a young couple in San Francisco, they joined Prabhupada's movement, surrendered to Krishna, but they had done some illegal things before, and so their court case came and they were sentenced to jail for somewhat a long time. But they got out in a very short time, a week or something like that. And Prabhupada used that as an example. He said he prayed to Krishna that he let them out early, and so it was summarized, a token. And he probably gave that example. He said, this is a token, because now they're devotees, and he didn't want them to spend so much time in jail. So they had already learned their lesson by surrendering to Krishna. Because they had surrendered to Krishna means they understood that what they were doing before was incorrect. So there was no need anymore for any penance or training or punishment, so they would learn their lesson. And a devotee, he accepts whatever Krishna sends, wherever Krishna sends him. And the very extraordinary devotees. Some may not be on that level yet, but Narayana para sarvena kutaschana vibhiti sarga pavarga narakeshu apitu yarta tarishana. Lord Shiva told his wife that the devotees are so great, whether they're sent to heaven or hell, they're not afraid to go. They're willing to take on that service because it's favorable for their devotional service. Favorable, they don't decide themselves what's favorable. We may like to think we know what's favorable for us, but the Lord has better vision. He knows actually what's favorable for us. And so it may be that one is engaged in some service that he doesn't think is favorable and he would like to change it. But he can try to change it. But better situation is that one stick to the directions given by spiritual authorities. As one example, Srila Prabhupada asked a devotee to go to a certain place and engage in preaching there. And they went, but after some time they became restless and they went somewhere else. And they tried to do service. After some time it wasn't working out so well. They talked to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, yes, would have been better if you had stayed and tried to do that service. So it's not easy sometimes to accept that the Lord's arrangement, because we may think, well, if I do this, I can get that, or Prabhupada gave the example of himself. His Guru Maharaj asked him to surrender in 1922 when they met. He said, why don't you take up Lord Chaitanya's movement? Prabhupada said that actually he wanted him to take sannyas and go out and preach. But Prabhupada said he was just newly married and didn't think that would be fair. Whatever. He blamed himself for not doing it immediately. But he did say that I accepted him as my spiritual master in my heart, and I took his instructions as my life and soul, and he was planning how he would execute that service. So it's not that he didn't do the right thing, he did. But he took it that I didn't do the right thing. I should have joined him immediately, but I waited so many years. But he was thinking, Prabhupada said, that I was thinking, I'll get some money first. I know how to make money. So he was thinking, I'll get money, and then I can do so much. With money, I can organize so many, preaching in English language or whatever. But Krishna wouldn't allow. He had many opportunities, but some or other didn't work out. And one such opportunity, he was offered a position where he would have been the agent for the biggest chemical company in India. And if he had taken that position, he said he would have been enormously wealthy. But he at that time, he chose not to take it. He demanded a higher salary or higher rate or something. And so they didn't take him. They took someone else. And they asked Prabhupada, why didn't you take it? Why didn't you take that position? He said, I was young and impetuous or something. I thought, I want to do it my way, and they should give me my... But Krishna didn't want him to become wealthy in the material world. So he took away these opportunities. And it seemed as though it was being unfortunate, but actually it's a special mercy of Krishna when he takes away one's material possessions and brings him down to the level where he's not appreciated by his former friends or family. He's poor. He's not influenced. So many things turn sour on him. But then, because the person is inclined towards Krishna, but somewhat on the fence, he doesn't know how much to surrender. So Krishna helps him by putting him in that awkward position. Prabhupada said, I was put in that position. Harishe. So, and he said, yes, it was actually Krishna's arrangement that it would turn out like this because by his remaining not wealthy, then he came to the point of, I'll just surrender to Krishna. Of course, we know that Prabhupada was always surrendered to Krishna, so there was not, but as he tells us, from his point of view, he says that that was Krishna's Harisheshat Tanam Shanai. I gradually take everything away from him. And he took it as mercy. He said, by that arrangement, I took sannyas, I went to Vrindavan, and then I had to beg to get passage to go across the sea to America. The whole story, it was all arranged. Couldn't have been a more perfect situation, but it didn't look that way. So he accepted that. This is Krishna's mercy. Now I have the wealth more than Birla, he was saying. When you consider the value of a movement like the Krishna consciousness, even from a material point of view, it's extraordinary. It's massive. But that's all the arrangement of the Lord. It's always auspicious. Some people would say this was inauspicious because he had a good opportunity to make money and he didn't do it. But no, Krishna will always do the best thing for the devotee. Sometimes he may even, if the devotee wants something material, apparently, then he'll give it to him. But he'll give it in such a way that he doesn't become entangled again and again and again. That's the benefit of going to Krishna rather than going to the demigods. When one wants something and approaches the demigods, the demigod may give it. But when Krishna gives, if someone goes to Krishna and asks for something, Krishna may also give it, but he gives it in such a way that his heart will become purified. And by association with Krishna, his love for Krishna will be developed again. Thank you.
Any more comments? Parmeshwar Prabhu?
So I want to ask this question very carefully, though, because I don't want to create unnecessary doubts. Some temples, you might have an authority that's, you might not have a guru living in a temple. You might have an authority that's been in the movement maybe 10 years younger than you, less than you, or whatever. And you go to one authority, he says, I would like for you to do plays with me. And another one says, I want you to distribute books. And another one says, need you help me build a temple here. So an individual may be inclined in a particular way that goes against his own inclinations, let's say. Like if somebody asked me to do plays instead of books, I might have a problem. So how much room is there, and how, if there is any room, how does a devotee go about resolving something in his mind that he might think would be a more effective way for him to spread Krishna consciousness? But if there's no room, that's okay to share that too. Trying to understand this process of surrender practically within our ISKCON body. And There's a lot of devotees have come to me and expressed, they'd like to be doing A, B, or C instead of this or that, and I just tell them to talk to their authorities. But so I'm just wondering, how does that work? How should I best guide them or myself if that situation arises with me? Hare Krishna.
Well, revealing one's mind is an important part of devotional service. So it's nice when a devotee expresses their mind, even if it's not to their authority. It's moving in that direction. Of course, we also have to be careful with who we reveal our mind to, because they may we may also disturb them. So that's there. But if we have some seniors and we reveal our mind that we're not completely satisfied with their service, or we're not sure if our authorities are guiding us properly, that may be appropriate, but that conversation will actually bear the fruit when we go to the actual authority and tell them that it has to be done in the respectful attitude, but we have to talk to that person ultimately. I was talking to Magadhari Prabhu, and we were talking about this point, and I was expressing some concerns to him, and he was basically saying, you like to hear about this topic, but you don't actually like to do anything about it. And you're saying, so you have to go to the people that can actually help you resolve this problem. So he was basically saying that, that wasn't him. So Krishna has arranged us to enter into a Sangha which can guide us. And that's something that requires some faith. But if he arranges all of our movements and we're praying to be engaged in his service, then he's put us into a Sangha. And in that Sangha, we have some seniors, we have some peers, and we have some juniors. And so, as an assistant to that devotee community or that association, then we take some guidance. So these are just the general principles, like you already mentioned. But if we have some problem taking instruction from the seniors or from our spiritual authorities, then, or we have a doubt or a disagreement, then we should humbly express our mind or reveal our mind to them personally and ask them to help us. Just like we were speaking, I have a problem with my service. It's not your problem, it's my problem. Like we were saying. And I need your help to resolve it, because I'm totally not satisfied. My mind is totally disturbed. I can't do this. And I know I'm not very advanced, or else I wouldn't have this problem. But I am super conditioned, and I really need your help to solve this. So it's like we have some doubt in the authority, but when we go to that same authority and reveal our mind to them that we are doubting them and take the submissive role that please help me, and that's a very powerful, loving exchange which can strengthen faith, not only between each other, but also within Prabhupada and the movement, within Krishna. Those were just some thought.
There is going to be generally we're advised to just follow our authorities, and as you say, discuss things. If still one is convinced that he'd like to have a second hearing, or he'd like to appeal, and there's higher authorities in ISKCON. We have temple president, We have GBC, individual secretary, GBC secretary. We have the GBC body ultimately. And for guidance within our service, there are sannyasis, there are senior devotees. They're always available for guidance, ministers. But they should work together, those who are giving, like traveling sannyasis or senior devotees. They should be mindful of that the devotee has his, shall we say, customary arrangements where he's under the direction of a temple president who's trying to do his service that he's been given to do by his authorities. Ultimately, Krishna is in control, and Srila Prabhupada's the ultimate authority of this kind. So sometimes it would come to Prabhupada. It was difficult for things to be worked out without him. And so we had that opportunity. We might feel a little ashamed or embarrassed to have taken his time and energy for him to have to decide on our particular circumstance. Wished we had been more submissive and surrendered. So similarly, we have the GBC body in special cases. If there's something so important that needs to be appealed, even above the decision of the lower body. In the meantime, Prabhupada said, you should accept the ruling of the lower court, so to speak. And if it's appealed to a higher court, if the higher court overrules, then that stands. So if the GBC overrules the decision of a temple president or something like that, lower body, that's possible. And we should have faith in the system, that the system of ISKCON is not just, as some misunderstand, they think it's some kind of a material bureaucracy. Say, well, you have organization, and you have voting, and you have positions, and you have higher and lower hierarchy. So it sounds material to me, looks material to me, but it's not. Because the overriding principle is always to please Krishna. And as long as the members follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and the Vedic scriptures, chanting 16 rounds, following the regulars and principles, then they will be guided by Krishna. And their decisions will be correct. So we have that faith. Even if someone said, Prabhupada sometimes wrote, he said, I know sometimes even my chosen leaders, they may give directions in such a way that things are topsy-turvy. What can we do? He said, at least you can wait till the GBC meeting. He established that the GBC would meet once a year in Mayapur, and they would decide all the they would discuss all the things that need to be done in ISKCON. And then during that year, they would be executed. And if there's something that wasn't worked out during the year, it could come before the GBC. So he always asked to please wait, and you can try to appeal it at the GBC meeting. So that worked quite well. And it has worked quite well. GBC has dealt with many difficult questions, how to respond in certain circumstances. Worldwide organization with so many people now involved. It's not easy, but Krishna will guide the leaders who are sincere. They will make good decisions, and the movement will continue to go on and expand. Bodhi, he has ideas, has some intelligence, but he doesn't necessarily think that he's more intelligent than everyone. His ideas are the only way to see something. By humility, he'll also realize, I have my idea, but that may not be perfect. So, if we listen to the other ideas, that's what Prabhupada said, you have to cooperate. To show your love for Prabhupada, cooperate together. Not that I have my idea, and if someone doesn't agree with it, I don't care who it is, even if it's GBC, senior devotees, and I'll leave and do it myself, the way I think is right. It makes it difficult, because when people act like that, it weakens the movement instead of being united. Part of having a big organization is cooperation with the others. Giriraj tells that he asked Prabhupada a question. He said something to the effect, "While you're here, Prabhupada, with us, any difficulties that come, we know that you'll solve them. But after you depart, then what will we do if there's something that doesn't seem to be going right?" And Prabhupada said, "You're also one of the senior men. You stay and try to correct it. Don't go away. It doesn't solve the problem. If there's something that needs to be corrected, then you work on it through the system. Because the system is ultimately controlled by Krishna. And Krishna is not unaware of what's going on and how to affect it in the proper way. So that type of cooperation and faith is necessary. It's like necessary for someone, say I have a position of authority on one level. Some people, they have to accept that. They have to cooperate with me. I've been appointed to this service. I'm trying to do my best. I'm sure there's room for plenty of improvement, but please cooperate with me because I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm also trying to please higher authorities. So, as we have to put some faith in higher authorities than ourselves, others have to put some faith in us, that we're sincere in trying to do the right thing. In this way, we can cooperate together and encourage each other, and Krishna will work things out.
Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.